There are several checkpoints on the way from the capital Kabul to Maidan Shahr, less than an hour's drive south. Afghan military bases are located outside the city, but all security measures have not prevented attacks inside Maidan Shahr from being common nowadays. The people here fear for their safety.
Abdul دغه څو ورځې کېږي چې زموږ کراچۍ په سقوط کې ده مین ترې لاندې ایښی و امنیت نشته مشکلات د مخلوقاتو زښت زیات ده.
Gul Ahmad has no easy life, but so have few Afghans. A teacher earns about $100 a month, a soldier $150.
دا موږ کراچوانان قسم په خدای د ورځې دوه ډوډۍ نسو پیدا کولی.
Just a few kilometers outside the city, the Taliban movement is in full control. The checkpoints and bases that Afghan security forces have outside are often attacked.
د خور امنیت نشته طالبان ټول ساحه کې جنگونه دي او بازار کې هم کله کله ماینونه الوزي شي مای دلته جنگونه څوک نشته او اطرافو کې جنگونه ستنو ټول طالبان دي هغه خو ټول حکومت امنیت کې کمزور دی نو حکومت د امنیت نشي راوستلای ټول وطنو کې جنگ ده کنه دلته نه خپل خو یې نه کنه.
The Taliban now control most of Afghanistan. They and other Muslim extremists target violence primarily at those they see as representatives of an ungodly regime, the Afghan government's employees. For them, it would be difficult to travel in the country.
چې خالد کم تلاشي کوي څوک شي د څخه پیدا کړي حکومت سره یا بل څه شي کته کوي نه بس تاسو خلکو سره کار نه.
Increasing uncertainty mostly affects the civilian population, which can be seen at the hospital in Maidan Shahr. On a daily average, 6 to 7 people injured in attacks come here.
زخمیان راځي اکثرا یا د مرمۍ واسطه مجروح شوي یا د چرې دغه رقمتشان ډیر وي.
Last year saw a sharp increase in the number of dead. According to the United Nations, close to 3,000 civilians are killed every year, and 40% of these are women and children.
این اکثرا په مستقیم جنگ کې د ګیر کېږي یا مسافرین وي او یا هم داسې وي چې د دوی کورو په کلي کې د جنگ په نتیجه کې یا بمبار شوی یا کوم راکټ لګېدلی وي.
The civilians are mainly affected now that the Taliban, following the Doha Agreement, are not attacking the forces of the United States and its allies, but instead have increased the attacks on the Afghan security forces. The Taliban have thus been able to strengthen their military positions. Now they have a stronger position in the intra-Afghan negotiations, which resumed in January. Afghan security forces today number about 300,000 men, but about 30 Afghan soldiers are killed every day in the fighting. Few observers believe that the Afghan forces, despite constant recruitment, will be able to withstand the Taliban. The training of the Afghan troops has taken place with the help of NATO's Resolute Support Mission. According to the Doha Peace Agreement, it will also be terminated. All foreign military advisors must leave Afghanistan by May this year. The Taliban and other militant movements use bases in neighboring Pakistan. According to the Taliban leadership, injured Taliban soldiers receive medical care in Pakistan. Afghan President Ghani has repeatedly tried to reach an agreement with Pakistan to stop their support for the Taliban and other extremists operating inside Afghanistan, but without success. But Afghan efforts are still being made to try to establish cooperation with Pakistan.
So we will be putting all in to reach a full understanding and a concrete understanding to have Pakistan with us for reaching a peace settlement.
Afghanistan is one of the poorest countries in the world, but the country has developed strongly in the last 20 years, and as infrastructure has improved and television and mobile phones have become more common, attitudes are changing, especially with regard to the position of women. Midwifery students practice breathing on a baby doll while their fully covered teacher instructs. Maternal and health care in Afghanistan has clearly improved, and the number of women who die in childbirth has more than halved in the last 20 years. About 20 midwifery students attend the Swedish Afghanistan Committee's training center in Vardak province. Improved teaching, enlightenment and equality work have strengthened women's right to education and status in society.
بله طبعا اوس وخت رسم رواج دی وختنی زمین تر اوسه پر ډیر فرق کوي اوس وخت به ښځو ته نوې ونډه نه ورکول کېده په هېڅ بخش کې اوس د خلکو ذهنونه ډیر باسوي دي.
Despite all efforts, a majority of women in rural areas can neither read nor write. Cultural barriers that hinder women are extensive.
زه غواړم د لا ښه آینده په لا ښه آینده ورته غواړم چې یعنې دوی نور هم پیشرفت وکړي بالخصوص په دغه طبي بخش کې یعنې ښځو ته زیاته پاملرنه وشي.
Changing attitudes takes time, especially in Afghanistan, where religion is very important. But today, there are about 50 women who visit the family planning clinic at the hospital in Vardak every day, unthinkable 20 years ago.
مګرم بعضې شیان دي چې هغه د اسلامي جامعه کې باید هغه مد نظر ونیول شي. نو که زه هغه شیان مد نظر ونیسم شاید یو بل سړی خپل لور خپله ښځه پرېښودل شي.
Today, 40% of Afghans have access to the internet, and the infrastructure has clearly improved. But the huge increase in the number of cars, as well as the smog in the capital Kabul, has also brought with it serious environmental problems. Begging women on the roads show how severe poverty is, despite the estimated 200 billion euros invested in reconstruction since 2001. But the large sums pumped into the country have also led to widespread corruption. That can make young people graduating from Kabul University easy to lose hope, especially when it comes to getting a job.
I must pay some money for getting a job, or I must have a relationship between a high positional person to get a job. It's a very big problem for our young generation in Afghanistan.
Another problem is a substandard education. The knowledge of most young people is deficient. Few, for example, know English.
It's a reality that we have today problem very much, but it can be solved. We are this generation that in university, we try to change the situation.
Skhula Zadran is Afghanistan's youth representative at the United Nations. She has met many young people around the country and believes that they now want to take greater responsibility for development.
There is a unity between Afghan youth. They have same opinions about the ongoing issues, and they are committed to have a better future.
Skhula's husband Idrees Stanekzai is a leader of a youth political movement.
Most difficult at this time that Taliban and the terrorists are trying to kill and assassinate all young Afghans who have their voice and the impact in the political era. But still, you know, the Afghan youth, they are not afraid of them, they are not threatened.
It is nowadays almost impossible for Afghan young men to seek refuge in a Western country due to stricter immigration rules. That can be one reason why there now is a more profound interest in politics among the youth.
I'm glad that everything is closed, because escaping and running is not the option. You don't run from your country, you don't turn your back to your country and to your people in their bad situations. If you are educated, if you know things, and if you know you can bring 1% change, so it is very, very important to stay inside country rather than going or running to Europe or to US.
But despite ongoing intra-Afghan negotiations, violence is on the rise. Government employees, human rights activists, and even schools are targets for the terrorists. Journalists are no exception. In the offices of TV channel Tulu News, there is a stock of helmets and bulletproof vests at the closely guarded entrance, necessary to wear when outside reporting.
آمار درشت ترورهای هدفمند در 2-3 ماه گذشته در افغانستان داریم که معلوم نیست این حملات چه کسایی انجام دادن و اینا نمیتونن با هدف قرار دادن خبرنگارا و با ندادن حق.
In the last 20 years, a stronger civil society has emerged in Afghanistan, including freedom of expression and more equality for women, who are now present in politics and in leading positions in society. Zahra Rahimi works as a reporter for the television station, mainly covering society and politics. She is worried about what a possible peace agreement with the Taliban will mean.
آیا طالبان جز از حکومت افغانستان میشن یا قرار است نوعیت نظام جمهوری در افغانستان تغییر کنه و یک دولت اسلامی که طالبان میخواین به میان بیاید؟ یک نگرانی در کنار خبرنگارا در بین همه مردم افغانستان وجود دارد.
Of course, the Afghans want an end to violence and insecurity and are therefore prepared to compromise for peace. It is hoped that the Taliban will also respect at least some of the women's rights.
و ما به این فکر نیستم که اگر طالبان بیایه و صلح بیایه زنان حقوقی را که دارن از دست بدن. اونا هیچگاه دست بردار نیستن.
In the newspaper Etla Druze, the power has gone. Many women work as journalists and do not want a peace agreement with the Taliban to result in women not being allowed to work with men or in senior positions. On social media, many campaigns are conducted, among them feminine perspectives, with hundreds of thousands of followers. Other campaigns fighting against concessions to the Taliban have millions of supporters.
امی کمپین روایت کارزار روایت زنانه خودش صدا بلند میکنه که در مذاکرات صلح حقوق زنان نادیده گرفته نشود، حقوق قربانیان جنگ نادیده گرفته نشود.
A clear majority of Afghans condemn the Taliban's ruthless escalation of violence and wants to preserve the human rights won in Afghan society.
و اگر قرار است یک توافقنامه سیاسی صورت بگیره، او توافقنامه باید حقوق زنان و حقوق به خصوص حقوق کار زنان به رسمیت بشناسه.